Hi, welcome to Goa. Firstly, I live in Goa. I work for the Chief Minister's office in Goa. I'm very happy to be here. In this audience, I know people like Audrey, Charmaine, who helped me find my house in Goa, where I live. So I'm very personally connected to you guys. So thank you for doing what you do, helping people, build lovely memories in the homes that they take up. So I'm very happy to be here. So I thought I just have like two or three slides. I thought what I would talk about today. It's okay? Result, yeah. I called the talk the artist way because I think there is probably no better definition of entrepreneurs and artists than the people in the room, because I feel like you are in a very, very creative profession. When I think of real estate individuals, people who are working in this industry, I think of people who are constantly having to figure out new things. How do you use technology in your business? Technology is changing everything. And how do you think you as an individual solopreneur, how do you think, how can I incorporate technology into my business? Then when you hit a certain success in your business, you have the question on should I expand my team? Should I take on the risk of adding more people into my team? Should I make a larger company out of this, or should I continue to be operating on my own? Should I leave the company I'm in and become a solo broker? So there's always like a entrepreneurial question that is in this industry. So I thought a little bit about what I've learned a little bit in my journey, in a very personal journey as an entrepreneur, as an artist at different points of my life. And I thought I would share some reflections that may be of use to you. So I'll start a little bit with a little bit about my own background and what I learned from this background. Surprisingly, when you start any new thing, right? If you decide, for example, that I'm going to make my business a little bit more technology oriented, or you think that I'm going to expand my business by hiring more people, what I've seen is that in almost every case, the success rate for entrepreneurs is very, very low, right? I've seen three industries very closely. I was the head of Discovery in India, Discovery TV channel, Animal Planet, TLC. I was the CEO of that in India. And I saw that सारे TV channel जो launch होते हैं, every TV channel, every movie, 90% of movies don't make money. 90% of TV channels fail. And it's surprisingly, the statistics are unbelievably predictable. 90% of every new launch in the media industry actually fails, right? So the success rate of media industry is only 10%. Then I was lucky enough in my career to keep writing novels. So I wrote fiction novels, like Keep of the Grass. So I wrote 3 or 4 novels, and one of them was made into a movie by Ronnie Screwvala, and or is being made into a movie. And I saw again the same success rate in writing, that every time in the publishing industry new books come out, their success rate is only 10%. 90% of books actually don't end up making money for the publisher. And then finally, I did my own startup, WhiteHat Jr., which some of you may know, your kids might have attended it. It was obviously a successful exit in India. It was sold for about 2,000 crores in about 2-3 years. So it was considered a very successful exit. But when I look at startups also, success rate of startups is less than 10%. 90% of startups just fail. And even among the 10% who work, 9% of them also just barely break even, right? So the success rate of entrepreneurship is also very similar to TV channels, books, 1%. And I've seen this law in everything that you create, right? Every time you'll create something from scratch, if you think of an idea and you build something new in your business, you'll realize that 90% of the time it won't work, right? So then the question becomes, why do this, right? And I thought I would share a little bit of my personal journey around that, which is when I started 20 years ago, right, from business school, I went to IIM Bangalore, which is a very good college. And I always thought that my life would be a little bit like that you see as a chart on the left, right? I thought that I would live a very simple life, a successful life, right? I would go to a job, I would do well at that job, then I would go to a better job, then do another job, and then I'll do better at that. And I thought that was in some sense, the definition of a successful life. What I've learned in the last 20 years is something completely opposite, right? I've learned that actually the definition of a successful life is taking big plunges in which you destroy everything that you know about your life at reasonably frequent intervals, And that, in some senses, ends up becoming what leads to success. So, obviously, many people don't know me, or most people won't know me, but when I did my first job, I started my first job after college, business school in Procter & Gamble. It was a very good job. I was doing very well in it. But about 5-6 years into it, I thought ki I really have to experience the world more. So I left my job, and for a year I traveled and wrote a novel. And when I came back, it was kind of disaster. I came back during the real estate crisis in the US. I couldn't find a job for many months. Then eventually I found a job. Then again, after that, I thought, ki, look, I'll never take this risk again because I think I learned a lot, but I don't know what I have to show for it because I've come back, I don't have a job, and I have to look for another job, and I don't want to be in this situation again. But after 3-4 years of doing that, again, I had this strong instinct that I have to kind of broaden my experience in the world, and I'd gone through some personal crisis. My mother had passed away very early, so I really wanted to deepen my knowledge of yoga. So then I left again. I took a year off to learn yoga and meditation in an ashram in India. And then I came back again. Through all of these experiences, and then I did something again. Few years I worked again. Then I thought that my writing is doing reasonably well. I should leave my job to become a full-time writer. So I left my job and became a writer. That also didn't do well. And then I came back again. I became the head of Discovery in India. And after a few years of Discovery in India, I really wanted to learn technology well. So I decided to start my own company, which obviously was successful. But the real pattern I saw was that every 3-4 years when I would take this plunge into something which my instinct told me that I had to do to learn new things in the world, I had first a lot of discomfort from myself that I'm kind of taking this risk on, but I would somehow take the risk. I also saw that people around me were very against it, right? So if I talked to my family, they would tell me, ये क्या हो रहा है 35 साल पे कोई छोड़ता है अपनी नौकरी राइटर बनने के लिए 40 साल पे कोई डिस्कवरी का हेड की यू लीव द डिस्कवरी हेड जॉब टू स्टार्ट योर ओन टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनी ये सब 25 पे होता है नॉट एट 40 so I always thought whenever I was taking a plunge the resistance of people around me was very strong, right? And that further made me nervous, but I kind of eventually was shameless and I took my chances. And then the surprising thing is when I came back I felt that I had grown a lot, but I could not see the effect of it, right? So when I came back, from traveling and writing a book, I didn't have a job, right? That's all I had to show, but I knew something was happening inside me, some growth was happening inside me, but I couldn't really articulate what was happening, right? But the wonderful thing about life, I think I learned through this entire experiences of like every 3-4 years taking a significant plunge, learning a lot and coming back after 1 year, was that the dots eventually started to connect in very beautiful ways, right? So for example, when Discovery Channel in India was looking for a head, they wanted somebody who had a business background and who also knew creativity very well. And they found there's just one person who had a business career and I had left that career to become a writer, right? So this was a perfect match for Discovery. When I started my own company, WhiteHat Jr., surprisingly, those years of backpacking and travel for a year really helped because I had this very clear vision that the world is very boundaryless, and whatever I create in India, I can take it around the world. And within a year of launching WhiteHat Jr., we launched it in US, Brazil, Mexico, and a part of the eventual acquisition from BYJU's, a lot of the premium of the 2,000 crore that I sold it for was because of the fact that it had a international presence right off the gate, and that actually came from my backpacking experience. And then similarly, the whole idea of my company was about kids using code to create things, and that came because of my entire dabbling with writing, creativity in my life early, and realizing that that's the most beautiful thing, to kind of build and create something, and kids should have that very early. So the whole idea came from all of these experiences, which at that time felt like they weren't successful in the conventional sense. So the world, I think I learned define success in the way that you see on the left line, which is that there is a straight path. But what I learned is that the real path of success is kind of truly following these moments of growth, plunging into them without too much fear about what the world is saying, your own nervousness, learning from that experience and playing the long game, realizing that, look, eventually the dots will connect. If you grow a lot within, eventually you'll grow a lot outside in the world. So if you have a tremendous growth experience inside, eventually the world will reward you for that in ways that you do not know of yet. So I'll kind of end this talk with a little bit of a thought, right? Which is, I hope you all, which you're doing right now, obviously, a lot of you have taken plunges to be solopreneurs, start hiring people, from what I heard from some of the people. And I think it's a wonderful thing because it'll be an up and down journey. And I saw that life has really two paths, right? There is this regular path, which we think is a bit regular, ki, sab theek-thaak chalta rehta hai. And then there is a bit of the learner's path, just kind of there is a lot of like plunges and ups and downs and moments of like hopelessness and despair. But over a few years of practicing that, you suddenly start to realize that the learner's path is actually, in some form or the other, a much more beautiful, richer, and eventually successful path, because when the dots start to connect, you act in ways that a regular person can't, because you're used to so much ambiguity, you have so much learning, so much wisdom from so many different experiences that they end up connecting in unusual ways, right? Like, as I said, I never knew that my writing would help my startup in a way that my business career didn't. I never knew that I would like become the head of discovery at a very young age, but they had this particular mix of person they were looking for. So, yeah, so I'll just end by saying, for anybody who's, who has this instinct which is not in line with the rest of the, where the conventional path is, where the rest of the world is, I would say trust it, and it'll come back to you in ways that you don't know of yet, and never hesitated from taking the plunges that you have to take. You know from within your heart that you're being called for, and you have to take those plunges, and they will not be decisions that the world would consider rational, but are very rational. You should go ahead and do them. Yeah. So that was what I wanted to talk about today, and thank you for everything you do. Yeah. I think we have time for one or two questions, and then we'll pass on.
Let's get the mic passed around.
Yes.
Could we just get the mic? Can we have the volume of the mic?
Hi, sir.
Yeah,
I am
great.
Udain Mane from Pune. And it's really interesting to see the plunges every 3 to 4 years. And we could all see that. I think you are up for a next plunge. So just wanted to hear it from you if you are planning for a next plunge in 2024.
Thank you. So now I wanted to work in the public sector. So after I exited my company, I decided to work with the Goa government. So with the Honorable Chief Minister, I signed up to work with him. So I'm mostly wanting to experience or add value in the public sector, in the non-profit and the public sector.
Great.
So that's what I'm doing now. Thank you.
Pleasure to have you, sir.
My pleasure.
One more question, one last question, anyone? There?
Yeah, Ratish. Hello.
Hi, Karan. Awesome journey you had and lot to take from your experiences. You narrated it really well. What I would like to ask you today in this forum, what is it that one thing you have to tell us as entrepreneurs, particularly in the real estate space, which is very dynamic? Do you see any connection from your experience to the real estate world?
Understood. Yeah. Yeah, so I think the biggest learning as an entrepreneur, which I'm trying to figure out whether that's directly replicated, but we have a very good saying in tech entrepreneurship that you should you should be a painkiller, not a vitamin. We use that word a lot, right? So which is a painkiller. So when you are in pain, right, and you have to take an ibuprofen. A vitamin is very optional. You take a vitamin in the morning because it's supposed to be good for you. Half days you'll take it, the other half days you don't. So the biggest learning I've had in entrepreneurship has been that solve burning pains. If you solve burning pains, the rest of the things start to figure themselves out. So I'm trying to kind of correlate this learning with the real estate journey. I'm not sure I can draw a very simple correlation, but I think if you really understand your client's burning pain, and everybody who has a desire for shifting their location has something deeper going on within their surface. And if you really understand their burning pain, you'll create solutions that are going to be unmissable for them. You'll never be in the same cycle as, and I'm kind of correlating it with my personal experiences. If somebody's really understood my pain, burning pain as I call it, and being able to delight me on that, you'll build a relationship for life. I think that would be. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Karan, fantastic session. My biggest takeaway from this session, and in fact I wrote it down, is solve burning pain to really create impact. So thank you. And I request you to be on stage as we'll get you felicitated. I would request Mr. Audrey Menezes. Miss Audrey Menezes. My apologies for that. From Goa Association of Realtors.
Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.